Well, welcome back and hello everyone. Today we're going to change out the battery in an iPhone 6S. So we have this new premium lithium ion repair kit, and today we're going to replace the battery in this iPhone 6S. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. So exciting. There's the new iPhone 6S. What else we got in here? Another one of those. Those are always good to have. Some earbuds. Does the iPhone 6 still have the port? It does. I know that's been eliminated, that 1/8 inch jack on some of the newer phones in favor of Wi-Fi. I personally don't like Wi-Fi right next to my skull, so I'm pleased that this one still has the 1/8 inch audio jack. Let's take a look at what we got in here. So again, this is OGO Deal, registered trademark, premium lithium ion battery repair kit. And just so you know, I have done work on my iPhone 4 before, but I've never changed out a battery, although I think it's got to be easier than some of the other things I've changed out, like a dock port. Those look interesting. I have no idea what I'm looking at yet here. Instructions, I might actually have to read those. Oh, it comes with some tools. Oh, that's handy. What kind of tools we got here? I always like collecting tools for my toolkit. It's got some kind of pokey stick there with a bit of a notch and a shim. Oh, those are nice. Some real pointy tweezers. Spring-loaded, I like that. Got a superfine Phillips screwdriver. Those are always nice to have. Looks like a shim tool. The shim is a bit angled. That shim is wider but flatter. And that one is a torque driver. And then a couple of items that look like guitar picks. Well, that's nice. Even if this fails, I'll have some new tools. That is a 2,300 milliamp hour high capacity battery. I don't know what the 34% means for iPhone 6S only. Lithium ion polymer battery, 8.78 watt hours, 3.82 volts. You know, it really is amazing how much power we can jam into a small package these days. There's the whole kit laid out if you're curious. The full repair kit. All right, I guess I'll actually read this. This manual only provided some key steps. We highly recommend you watch a video on YouTube before installation. Well, maybe I'll do that, except I'm making the video for YouTube. And then we skip to step 3. Then open the display to about a 90-degree angle and lean it against something to keep it propped up while you're working. Attention, don't open the display more than 90 degrees. It is still connected to the top of the phone by the display, digitizer, and front camera cables and can tear easily. And I see a picture here, I think 90 degrees flipped vertically. Right, there's some sort of ribbon cable that connects the screen to your motherboard inside. Wonder why, oh, here we go. Here's step 1 at the top of page 2. Power off your iPhone and use pentalobe screwdriver to remove the two 3.4 millimeter pentalobe screws. Attach a suction cup. There's no suction cup in this kit. Pull up on the suction cup to create a small gap and insert the spludger or spudger into the gap. To gain access, there's 2 screws here on either side of the power dock port, and it's probably one of those drivers to take that part off. The suction cup would be handy because you could pry the screen off. I don't have one, so I'm just going to try and pry it up with the spludger. That's number 1. Then we skip to number 4. Oh, here's number 2 on the top of page 3. Slide an opening pick along the top edge of the iPhone to break up the remaining adhesive holding the screen in place. Oh shit, there's adhesive. So it's going to be one of these picks. And I guess we go all around the circumference to pry the screen off. Okay, and then step 3, I see, we're kind of going across the pamphlet. I guess there's some screws we need to remove, and then a connector bracket, and a connector that we'll have to unplug out of the socket. Attention, when reconnecting the digitizer cable, do not press the center of the connector. That's interesting. Usually I would. I'll have to take it apart to see why that is. Number 6, use the tweezers with blunt tips to peel back the 2 battery adhesive strips. Slowly, steadily pull 1 battery adhesive tab away from the battery toward the bottom of the iPhone. Also repeat for the second strip. If you successfully remove both adhesive strips, then remove the battery from the rear case. Attention, if the adhesive is not successfully removed, using a heat gun or hairdryer to soften up the adhesive, then carefully remove battery from rear case by using the spudger. Which is interesting, because I thought it was a huge issue to heat up lithium-ion batteries. Specifically, you're not supposed to do that. We'll see. Hopefully we don't get that far. I don't have a heat gun or hairdryer, but I do have lighters. So here's the tools. I see these guys. I see this guy. I see my 2 drivers. These 2 guys. I see this guy. I see this. I see this. What's notably missing is the suction cup. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It was hiding in the plastic case. I do have a suction cup, which is cool. So I have all the pieces now. I guess the first step is going to be to remove those 2 screws. It's these 2 screws on each side of the dock. All right, looking at those under magnification, it definitely is the torque driver. Super sensitive to get it in there, seated. Counterclockwise usually is loosened. I don't want to lose that. There's one out. Let's try for the other one. It's real easy to slip out. They're so tiny. Be patient, be gentle. You don't want to strip that screw. So there's the 2 screws that we removed from the bottom dock. I just about dropped one. Okay, I'm going to put those down now. Use a suction cup and pull up on the suction cup to create a small gap and insert the spludger into the gap. And they're showing the suction cup on the screen down near the button, and he's showing using the black spudger. This guy. She don't want to stick some suction cup you are. That's beyond useless. That is a suction cup in appearance, but it doesn't suction. Actually, I'm going to heat it with hot water. That might soften it up enough that it actually is a suction cup, because right now it's got this deformation here, which makes it useless. All right, I got this nice and hot under the tap, and just a little bit of moisture on there. Let's see if we can actually get it to do what it's supposed to do. Just don't want to suck. I don't want to press too hard on that screen. That's working a bit better. Okay, that's definitely suctioning now. So the hot water trick worked, but I need a gap to appear. Let's get a little closer down there. I don't know if I'm going to get suction over the button. No, it needs to be over the glass. If it's over the button, the air gets in and the suction's lost immediately. I do see the tiniest amount of gap appearing there. Oh, we're in. That's hard. I actually found that if I kind of went, tried to go down a little bit behind the gray part here, I was able to get into the gap. You can see I've got just the slightest amount of ingress into there. You can see it's flexing the screen, which I don't like, so I want to be gentle. Okay, so we did this part. So now slide an opening pick along the top edge of the iPhone to break up the remaining adhesive holding the screen in place. So I guess we take this guy and kind of go along the entire edge of this screen. Oh yeah, she fits in there. And I don't want to go too deep because I don't know what I'm encountering in there. I'm not sure if I'm going deep enough though. Well, let's just try. Countering a bit of resistance there. Maybe that's the part that's supposed to hinge up. So now I'm going to go along the other side, and it looks like you don't have to go deep, just a tiny little bit. And then there, I hope I didn't crack it, that didn't look good. We've got the screen lifted on the bottom, most definitely. Kind of lifted along the sides, but it's tight up at the corners. And I started to see some artifacting up here, so I'm not going to try and remove up here yet. Open the display to about 90-degree angle and lean it against something to keep it propped up while you're working. And there's a warning, don't open the display more than 90 degrees. It is still connected to the top of the phone by the display digitizer and front camera cables, which can tear easily. Okay, I have the box and a rubber band ready to go. And I think what we have to do is kind of pull like this, gently, gently. Ooh, look at that goo. You see that? And not go further than 90 degrees. So there you are. Inside the phone. This is the battery that we're going to be replacing. Yeah, I see that ribbon cable they're talking about up top there. Something like that, so it's not going to bend that way, which would unplug or damage the ribbon cables there. Remove below Phillips screws from the lower bracket, connector bracket. Later remove the connector bracket. Finally use black spudger to lift the battery connector out of its socket on the logic board. So there's our battery. There's the top of it. And there's the bottom of it. Let's take a look at the new battery. There's our new battery on top. And you can see that little tab there. It's actually got a couple of micro connectors on it. So that's going to be the part that snaps into your phone's motherboard. And I'm glad I didn't tear that off thinking it was a pull tab for the packaging. Oh my goodness. So taking a look at this, it's not going to go that way because there's nothing for the tab to plug into. It's not going to go that way because the contacts are facing up. It's not going to go that way because contacts are facing up and outside the case. So the correct orientation for this battery is going to be like that, which means it must be plugging in underneath here. It's going to be this metal bracket here that I have to take off. Okay, remember with me, long on left. These screws are different sizes, so long screws on the left. It's also worth noting that the short screw on the right, the metal is punched down, it takes a dip. Okay, now we've got that bracket off, which exposes that area. What we're looking for is the plug connector for the battery. I think that's that piece right there. Use the black spudger to lift the battery connector out of its socket on the logic board. Next step, remove following 4 Phillips screws and the bracket. Also use spudger or fingernail to remove display assembly. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. So this metal plate here needs to come off. Okay, tiny bolt. I'm going to put these bolts in a separate area. Another tiny bolt, same size as the first one. Another tiny bolt, all 3 the same so far. There we go, I can see the metal shield. Again, I've encountered a screw that's larger than the other ones. So this time the large one is on the right. And then that's the piece you take off. And that has exposed this zone up in here. Also use spudger or a fingernail to remove display assembly. So this right here is actually a connector for your display. There are 3 connectors here. So these are the 3 connectors that we just removed. Those are going to be a real treat to snap back on properly. For now, it means we don't have to be as careful with that, so we can take that off to the side, and now we're left with just the base chassis of the phone, and we don't have to worry so much about the screen. So use tweezers and blunt tips to peel back 2 battery adhesive strips. Slowly, steadily pull 1 battery adhesive tab away from the battery toward the bottom of the phone. Also repeat for the second strip. What are they talking about here? There's no real good picture. Do you see adhesive strips on that battery? Unless they're talking about along the sides. So I'm just teasing it along the sides there. If you successfully removed both adhesive strips, then remove the battery from the rear case. I wonder if there's like an adhesive pad underneath here. There's a lot of circuitry. There's not a lot to peel back here. Maybe they're talking about down here. I screwed up. It's these adhesive strips that need to come back. I have a suspicion the battery is actually glued down, and I don't like how I'm stressing it. That is a scary task. I have to be warping the battery to take it off, and I don't like that because it says authorized service provider only. Well, we failed that. Potential for fire or burning. Do not disassemble, puncture, crush, heat, or burn. So puncture is something I'm definitely thinking about. I'm worried about my deformation of this battery, but there is definitely some adhesive under there. So I'm trying to lift that battery, but I see adhesive under there, which is making this tough going, and I don't like how I'm having to warp the battery to get it out. I also don't want to damage anything underneath. Well, that's a dead phone, I expect.
Holy shit. Oh no, I'm sorry.
It's hot.